but I hope the rest of the board feels the same way. This board, new members, members that have been here for a number of years, we're here, John, and others. We're not hiding behind anything. We work very hard. We think we work in what we believe is in the best interests of the community. You've heard our statements on the regrets that we've made relative to the process that we utilized 2 weeks ago, but at the end of that process there was a vote, there was a decision that was made. I think the reason for the decision that was made, because at the root of it is that we believe that a majority of this board is in line with the majority of the members of the community, that sidewalks aren't necessary in that particular area of the community. No more, no less. And you're not, sit down, John. You're not, sit down. Other citizen comments this evening?
Lake, and I just want to agree with this lady here. I agree with everything she said, and I'm a Republican. And quite frankly, I'm disappointed in your behavior, really, with you, Bob, and with you, Warren, because I think you know better, and it has nothing to do with whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. It's doing the right thing and following process and procedure, and I think you know better. And I'd still like an explanation as to what you're going to do about the St. David's situation. Thank you.
That I think what we heard tonight was an apology about the failure of process, at least as I understood what the three of you said tonight. But there's still a lot of issues surrounding the things that you essentially overrode. What is your position with respect to the comp plan? What is your position with respect to adhering to the zoning plans? What is your positions with the development plans that we have? At the moment, I think all of us cannot trust you to uphold or adhere to any of those things, because at this point you clearly went against them, and I think quite now knowingly went against them. Thank you.
Jim Bailey, I'm M4 committee man for the Republican Party. I agree with John Peterson. I think that when we attack people on a personal basis, it doesn't help the issue at all. My concern here is, what kind of precedent are we setting? Dom, can you talk about that? I think I read in the paper somewhere where one of the people on the board said that we're going to look on a case-by-case basis and decide who gets money back and who doesn't. I'm really concerned of what kind of precedent we're establishing moving forward. I don't know if anyone else is concerned. Yes. I'd like the board to address that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you over the din.
Yes, I'd like you to address what kind of precedent this sets moving forward.
Well,
And I'd also like you to talk about, are there any other instances right now where there is escrow money set aside where people are challenging that?
On the second question, I am not aware. And on the first question reference, which I think is a comment that my colleague over here made in a paper, I happen not to agree with that comment. So,
Not agree with, what do you mean by not agreeing?
I think you referenced a comment that may have appeared in the Daily Local to a comment my colleague Mr. Olson made relative to we're going to consider giving money back on a case-by-case basis, or am I mishearing you?
Yeah, that was the comment that we made. So if we're not going to do that, then what is the process going to be moving forward?
Okay, so today after trading a number of phone calls with this week with the chairman of the Planning Commission, he reached out to me and we had a conversation, and we talked today amongst the board, and we're going to reach out to the Planning Commission. I think we're going to probably get a few members of our board, a few members of the Planning Commission, and sit down and talk about some of the bigger picture issues that the events of a few weeks ago raised. There are a number of significant policy issues that underlie the decision that was made that ought to be addressed. I don't think it's anything that'll be satisfied in a day, but we're going to begin that discussion. Some of those areas are relative, do we need to relook at the land development ordinance with regard to the sidewalk provisions? Another one is one that the chairman of the Planning Commission himself raised when he was here, and that is that the authority that we have delegated to the Planning Commission with respect to land development, is that something that we ought to look at either taking back, either in whole or in part, at this level? What's the role of the staff as it relates to the Planning Commission? But kind of above all else is how can we better enhance two-way communication between ourselves and the Planning Commission with regard, frankly, not only to sidewalks, but with other issues relative to land development where we have delegated that authority. Because we have delegated that authority to the Planning Commission, which, by the way, I think this municipality is one of only a handful, if not the only municipality in the Commonwealth where such delegation has occurred, we ought to try to work together to establish some kind of a mechanism where the board, within the rules and within the law, can provide guidance to the Planning Commission for projects that are of significant community concern and impact. Since we are the only municipality apparently that has delegated that much authority to an appointed board.
That sounds like a great policy moving forward, but the question really is what can we do in this particular situation with St. David's? I mean, is it a done deal? Is there no turning back at this point? Is there anything you at the board can do to reverse the vote from the last meeting?
I think that, I think we made the decision. I think the township has already reacted to that decision, and frankly,
Was there any talk to, instead of giving back the $25,000 or not doing these walkways, was there any talk about taking that money and putting it in another area of the township that maybe the walkways would be a better fit? Was that possible?
Well, I recall that was a recommendation of the BOG, but I haven't had any discussions along those lines.
Jim, there were multiple discussions along those lines with members of the Planning Commission, members of the Board of Supervisors, the Township Manager, but they were fruitless.
Okay, again, I know that this has kind of left the barn, so to speak. I really think we need to look at the process and procedure moving forward and how you as a board interact with the Planning Commission. But I got to tell you, again, I'm a committee man for the Republican Party, and I really think this transcends Democrat versus Republicans. I think it has nothing to do with party affiliation. I think this is doing the best thing for our township. That's why we elect you guys, and we hope you do that. Thank you.